Everybody, this is Weddleman Swads here, and happy 4th of July to everybody on the 250th birthday of America, as we all know it. Now, today, for all of Kentucky and pretty much, and I believe all of Tennessee and stuff, we are going to be seeing heat advisories of 100 to 105 heat indexes. Now, in Western Kentucky, you're going to see 100 to 107 heat indexes, and you're going to see a whole lot of mid-70 dew points. With those, with the high 70% humidity, it's gonna make it feel very hot out there. But not to worry though, as long as you have a fan hat on, some water, sunglasses, hat, and water, you should be good. In Central Kentucky, you can expect 100 to 105 heat indexes. Let me make sure that didn't go an update, because I've been keeping an eye out on this today. Should still be the same. Should still have 100 to 105. This needs to load. If this could load, that would be wonderful. Yeah, sorry guys, some little technical difficulty is on my weather program. Well, yeah, the heat index would still be 100 to 105 for Central Kentucky, so it's gonna be pretty hot there too. It's not gonna be as hot. Okay, there it goes. Now it's gonna load. Yeah, so there it goes. It's just uploaded. So you guys are gonna see between 98 to 105. However, I think it's more of 100 to 105, but that's about the range you would want to be. That's about the range we expect here for Central Kentucky. So places like Bowling Green, Elizabethtown, River, Lexington, Campbellsville, Tompkinsville. Y'all are gonna see 98 to 105 degree heat indexes. Now, this is there has been 7 days of a low of this, and that's because of that heat width that's came in. And it's finally starting to push out just a bit. So now it's gonna cool down just a little bit as a really, not a cold front, but a slight cold front's gonna come in, and it's gonna bring our temperatures down next week into the high 80s. So we can expect some high 80s, and we can expect the temperatures to get up to the low 90s as well, and maybe close up to the mid 90s. But it would be more like the high 80s to fairly high 80s to low 90s, with maybe with maybe mid 90s. But you're gonna see the heat indexes drop down and be in the range of 95 to 100. So it's not gonna be as bad as it's been this week, because we've had heat indexes of 110 to 115, and even some more localized areas getting 118 to 120. But yeah, so that's the heat. So Central Kentucky, you got 100 to 105 heat index that's coming for here. And in Western Kentucky, you're going to see 100 to 107 degree heat indexes. And you're also going to expect dew points to be in the mid-70s. The mid-70s for Western Kentucky, and humidity values of 70%. So it's going to be a fairly hot and fairly toasty 4th of July for Western Kentucky. So it's going to be fairly nice. We can say the same thing for Central Kentucky too. However, I don't really know about the dew points down here. Okay, looking at it, it looks to be in the 70s. So yeah, for Central Kentucky, your dew points are expected to be in the low 70s, up a little bit to the low mid 70s. So you'll be all right there with that. And Central Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, you're under Eastern Kentucky, you're under excessive heat warning for 100 to 105 degree heat. I can't speak. 100 to 105 heat indexes today. So, and it's dangerously hot too. So this is a different one. It's dangerously hot. If we look at our dew points, there's a couple of areas that get up to 75 and even 76 in Eastern Kentucky. And then the very bottom point of Eastern Kentucky is going to be 100 to 105 heat indexes as well, if we look. Yeah, exceeding 100 with the heat indexes over time of 105. So, yeah, you're going to expect that a lot too. Now for Middle Tennessee, for Central Tennessee, you guys were expecting heat indices to also get up to 107. So Western Kentucky is expected to range from about 100 with the heat index is to 107, and Middle Tennessee is also expected to get up to 107 degrees. Now, this is the 7th day of these temperatures, and it's gonna cool down a little bit, but it's gonna cool down a little bit. We're not talking high 70s or anything. We're still talking about high 80s, low 90s, mid 90s, and 95 to 100 degree indexes for pretty much the Kentucky and Tennessee region going into next week. So there's for that. Now later on today, around 7 to 10 o'clock, there's going to be some storms coming in forming from the east. These are actually going to be pop-up storms, so they're not going to storm because of the... Now, I don't really know what's causing it, but there was some sticky, moist air out right now. There were some air masses that are going to come through, which I don't honestly really know about. This turn, there was air masses coming in, the dew points up in the mid-70s, the humidity up in the low 70s. That's gonna make the environment unstable. So if it's stormy, so if you see clouds forming up to the west and they start coming closer to you, while it's still actively raining, but there's still the sun out, you're gonna expect the environment to get fairly unstable, and this could make some fairly strong storms. There won't be a tornado threat on any of these, but we can expect some damaging wind gusts. Now, we can expect them to get up to 50 to 60 miles an hour. I don't know about the 70-mile-an-hour one. This definitely isn't as severe as it was yesterday afternoon. We had a power outage in Channel Suffer, so I think they're back. I think they got power back. That's my grandparents. They ran out of power. Their power got cut out, but yeah, there were some storms and stuff came through for central Kentucky and for Nashville and stuff. Had some wind damage, had some power outages, and we had a lot of heavy rain and flood warnings. So I wouldn't really want for the threat of, if you're asking me, hey Isaiah from Wellman's Watch, or just Isaiah, what's the chances for these storms? Now, I would say it's bare minimum. So I would give it about a 20% chance around the 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. corridor that western Kentucky is going to start seeing some storms pop up in like the far west going into Hopkinsville and stuff. Now, will they go past that? I don't know. I don't really know about that. All I know is if there's too much humidity and stuff and the dew points, and I don't know. I don't really know if there's a whole lot of humidity and stuff, of like 90% humidity, like really wet air and stuff, and things like that, it's gonna lead to a whole lot of ingredients, like too much ingredients, and it was just, I don't know, I've heard something about the more moisture and stuff to it, it's gonna make the environment more stable and stuff, because you have too many ingredients, and it'll just fizzle out the storms. So yeah, now I don't think the only real threat I would say today could be penny-sized hail, which is still fairly low. I would not expect that much penny-sized hail. Penny-sized hail, maybe I would say most of Kentucky and Tennessee, if storms do pop up later on at 7 to 10, I would say you'd see more warnings with half an inch of hail, kernel-sized hail, maybe a little bit of penny-sized hail, but even then I wouldn't consider it likely. Just watch out on the radar for pop-up storms, as there is a small chance today. I would say there's a 20% chance from 7 to 10, and then if the system still holds together in the next hour once the storms arrive in western Kentucky, then your time frame for central Kentucky would be 8 to 11. I think that's how it... Yeah, 8 to 11, so... You also be careful if that does happen. And in eastern Kentucky, you can expect the winds to be from like 10 to 1. If any of these storms still survive and stuff by then. But we'll continue to keep an eye on that here on the weather watch and the weather watch and the Quail Force Say YouTube channel. Since this is going to be going on to the Quail Force Say YouTube channel because this video is getting fairly long. So, TLDR, today is gonna be a very nice day. All Kentucky, you're going to see 100 to 107 degree heat indexes. In central Kentucky, you got more of 100 to 105 heat indexes, and then in eastern Kentucky, you have 100 to 105 heat indexes. Middle Tennessee, you have 100. You have heat indexes that are going to go up to 107. Eastern Kentucky, Eastern Tennessee, you're going to see heat index values up to 107 as well. And in Eastern Kentucky, you can see the heat indexes exceed 100 at some points, but can also exceed up to 105. Practically the same situation, and as very southeastern Kentucky, having the same thing as this heat advisory. As this heat advisory has put a very south Kentucky too. So keep an eye on the weather. Keep an eye on the pop-up storms, as there is a very low chance. I'd say 20% chance, but it's not very likely. And also enjoy the heat index, and enjoy the last day of very hot air before we get down to the high 80s again, and the low 90s up to with mostly high 80s going up to low 90s, and a couple of mid 90 days with heat indexes I would expect up to a 95 to 100. So have a good 4th of July, everybody. Happy 250th birthday to America and stuff. Weatherman Swads out.